I talk about brand being a desired perception. That's the definition that I use, right? It's not your logo, it's not your tagline. It's about a desired perception. And the flip side to that coin is that in order for people to have a desired perception in the marketplace, that they must first have that same perception of themselves.
Of themselves, yeah.
And so in terms of a legacy, on a very simplistic way of articulating the big grandiose vision, is just having people really own who they are and having that be on loudspeaker.
Today we have Ray Perez, who is a branding strategist, creative visionary, inspirational speaker, and founder of Branding for the People. His background includes senior-level brand consulting positions at Interbrand, Siegel & Gale, Reputation Institute, and TMP Worldwide, and he's worked on many of the world's favorite Fortune 500 brands. Ray's been instrumental in the success of some of the fastest-growing companies in America and has helped his clients double, triple, and quadruple their revenues. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So let's just dive into it.
Okay.
What is, do you think, your unique skill set, and how does that contribute to your success?
You know, great question. So like with any great brander, I think the unique skill set is really being able to have both the left brain and the right brain intact, but more specifically because
intact
intact or aligned. Because the thing is that a designer can design nice things, and a business strategy can give you an awesome strategy, but it's the blend of the two where you have great creative thinking and great analytical thinking that can really propel and help a business move forward. So more specifically, what my sweet spot is, if you will, is being able to lift through all the noise to lift out a company's unique positioning, like the essence or the soul of their business. And that really is what's going to help drive both the business and the brand.
Yeah. And how do you do that?
If I tell you, I'd have to kill you.
Okay.
No, you should cut that out. So how we do that is actually through a creative and collaborative process, right? So there's a lot of questioning in terms of, well, there's 3 buckets of information that we look at.
Yeah.
Right? It's what is it that you or a company, what is it that you can own? This is, in other words, what's credible with the company.
Yeah.
The second area is what is unique and differentiating. You know, here is where you look at the company or the person that we're branding in the context of the competitive landscape.
Right.
Right? The people that do the same exact things that they do.
Yeah.
And then the third content area that we look at is what is relevant. And that's where you look at your target audiences. That's where you look at the market, the consumers, the buyers, the people who might be potential customers and clients.
Yeah.
And it's the intersection of what you can own, credibility, what's different and unique in the marketplace, and what's relevant to your target audiences is where we look for that sweet spot, that positioning of your brand.
Right. So specifically for you, it sounds like the skill then is something like, you know, like careful listening skills, and then coupled with being kind of like understanding of markets or kind of like what's happening now in certain spaces. Do you focus on certain areas? How do you know what's kind of like current and of the moment in all sorts of different markets?
Yeah, it definitely takes some paying attention to in terms of trends of what's going on in the marketplace, particularly with small businesses, right? Trends in marketing, trends in branding, trends in building businesses, but also trends in how people are behaving and how consumers in the marketplace are responding to media, responding to messages. Yes, it does take some listening skills, highly intuitive, so it's kind of really being able to see things that are both being said, but also things that aren't being said.
Right.
But it's also just some great analytical thinking. We have frameworks and tools that we use to help organize complex information into simple and actionable frameworks.
Yeah.
So yeah, between the tools that we have, and I'm obviously leveraging 25 years of experience in this industry.
Right.
So part of working with us is like, it's actually pulling in a depth and breadth of experience from a range of different companies and client of experience. And I think, to be honest, just from my perspective, you know, there's a lot of branders that are entering into the industry now, and there's lots of books on branding that you can read. reading a book on branding or taking someone's branding course, that doesn't really give you that years of experience and intuition to be able to define a brand. It just gives you an understanding of branding. So my background is really from a practitioner's perspective, actually working and building on these brands.
Yeah. So how long have you been building this particular business?
Branding for the People, we're going on our 7th year in business next year.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah. Started just from nothing, really. Just an idea and a vision.
Yeah. And what is your best method right now? What's working to get you customers?
To be honest, it's obviously creating value first, and I'll go more specifically, but branding is it's a misunderstood topic.
Yeah.
And so at the front end of everything that we do is about educating and creating value and empowering people or expanding people's awareness and understanding of what this thing is in the first place.
Yeah.
And so how that happens mostly is through me speaking, coming to events, speaking at events. We're asked to speak in different types of venues with different audiences.
Yeah.
And from the intention of just really creating value and educating them. Now, that being said, when someone sees something that they can apply and it's valuable and relevant, then it's likely going to open up a conversation to potentially work with us.
Sure.
So the wrapping of all that is just really connecting with people first that you were meant to connect with and work with, and everything else.
So you're doing it the hard way, traveling, airplanes, getting out in front of actual human beings.
Actually talking to real people.
Yeah, the old school way.
As opposed to a click or a funnel or a...
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. So I'm sure you've learned a lot in 25 years and certainly 7 years as an entrepreneur for yourself. What, if you could kind of like fly back in time and whisper a bit of advice to yourself 7 years ago, what would that be that you think would have, propelled you forward the most?
So the turning point for me was about 2.5 to 3 years in. And to answer your question, it's to really treat what I'm doing as a business rather than a practice.
Yeah.
And so when I first started the business, I really just wanted to replace the income that I was making working at these big firms.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
That's how we start.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm not going to go work for these companies again.
Right.
Let me just replace my income. As an entrepreneur, when you do that, and then you do that multifold, you're like, okay, what's next? And if I knew from the get-go, from the beginning, said, let's build this as a business rather than a one-man practice, there's so much more that you can do. Now, underneath all of that mindset shift is putting in systems and processes, hiring people that are smarter than you, building a team, creating a culture, and building a scalable solution so that it can be repeated over and I can train other people to do what I do. So while I know you said earlier that it's a hard way of actually connecting with people and you were being part facetious, but it does take something to go out and speak and connect with people. I can do more of that and have fun doing it, knowing that on the back end, my team is there to be able to fulfill an exceptional experience for our clients. So if you could go back and have told yourself that, what you would have said was start building systems and hiring people sooner. And how do you do that if you're an entrepreneur that doesn't already have a bunch of revenue to hire those people? So I mean, how would you have done it? How would I have done it going backward? Well, to be going back in time, where my brain tends to go, and maybe I'm alone or maybe I'm together with many entrepreneurs. My mindset always goes into what do I need to sell? How much money do I need to make in order to afford the resources that I need to have to grow my business? So I always had that mentality of, okay, let's go and build some business, let's get clients so I can invest back into the business. It's just what I was investing back into the business while it worked, I would have invested or allocated other funds towards the system building, towards the team. I've invested in freelancers. I would have maybe invested in a full-time employee, for example. And actually like invest in them over time. That's right. That's right. What is the next thing you want to learn in your business or in your life? What's exciting to you next? Well, in my business life, they are quite interchangeable, so I'll answer them from both parts. To be honest, like I'd mentioned, we've really built the business through a lot of the speaking and so forth. What's next for our business is hiring a digital marketer. There's lots of, we know all the digital marketers, we can actually hire them as consultants. We want to bring someone in-house to handle that and own that for our business so that we can scale that piece and obviously impact and reach more people online not just necessarily predicated on where I can physically go
Yeah,
and
exactly.
speak.
Fewer airplanes, maybe.
That's right. That's right. Which leads into the personal.
Yeah.
So for me, my business was always built from a purposeful place, from a soulful place.
Yeah.
And so that's important to me.
Yeah.
Yes, we do branding. Yes, we build businesses. Yes, we help people become even more successful than they are. But there's something very transformational about the work that we do. It transforms our clients' lives and their business. And so I like to take on that for myself as well. So there's always that next level for me personally and spiritually of, where do I need to go and explore and travel? So traveling internationally and maybe going to, Bali and Thailand and Australia and seeing another part of the world. Yeah. That might resonate with what we do, but also just even from a personal perspective, might even just give me some excitement and freedom and a new perspective.
Curiosity.
Curiosity, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So when you think, you've been doing this a long time now, you think about, 10, 20, 30 years from now, what would you like your legacy to be?
At the core of all of it is that people operate and show up. I talk about brand being a desired perception. That's the definition that I use, right? It's not your logo, it's not your tagline. It's about a desired perception. And the flip side to that coin is that in order for people to have a desired perception in the marketplace, that they must first have that same perception of themselves.
Of themselves, yeah.
And so in terms of a legacy, on a very simplistic way of articulating the big grandiose vision, is just having people really own who they are and having that be on loudspeaker. Knowing who they are and who they're not. And also living their life not in fear, living their life from a place of abundance and freedom and passion and full of life. And that they're inspiring and making the world a better place through what their service, product, or programs is that they do. Yeah.
And if you could do that for a handful of people, you'd feel happy with what you'd created.
Absolutely. And I think, to be honest, we have been doing that. We are currently doing that. It allows us to be able to, put our head on our pillows every night, knowing that, yes, business is about making money, but the type of business that we are in is really impacting people's lives. Yeah. And that's really what it's about for us at the end of the day.
Yeah, beautiful. So we call this thing Modern Entrepreneur. What does it mean to you to be a modern entrepreneur?
For me, to be a modern entrepreneur is obviously changing the paradigm of how people connect, how business is played, and the why of the business. So you could say that it's actually pretty easy to build a business. It's pretty easy to be an entrepreneur. But if you look at statistics, the people who are really taking it to that next level are people who are authentic and they connect with people from a place of authenticity. And that they have something of value to bring into the world. And they're constantly looking at ways of how they can build a community, build a tribe, build a movement. And so if I were to summarize it into one word, is like really creating a movement rather than just a business.
Well, that is beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. Will you sign our wall?
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, cool.
When you start a business, you're a one-man band.
Yeah.
You can relate to this. So you do everything.
Yep.
And there comes a time where you've got to transition to, you have to create the same music, but you're the conductor of an orchestra. So now you can't touch any instruments. Like, you literally can't touch anything. Yeah. And what a lot of entrepreneurs do is they think that they're being a conductor, but what they've actually done is they've just created a lot of people that follow them around and help them be the one-man band.